the power of true education. The power of true education. The goal of true education is to add to the advancement of society. What are the needs of the times? What are the needs of the times, and how can I help fulfill those needs? And the needs of the times change over time. At one time, you might have had a need for blacksmiths. Well, today, there's less of a need for that. There might be more of a need for how to work with computers or how to create greater harmony in a family or in a marriage. So we have to look at the times which keep changing. Now, we're going to talk about the source of gaining knowledge. There's an old Persian proverb that says, "Make no search for water, but find thirst, and water from the very ground will burst." So really, each person has to find their thirst, their passion. What is it you really want to know? And if you really want to know about something and you have that passion, you'll find a way, the knowledge, the ways will be found to arrive there. So make no search for water, but find thirst. You want to find that thirst. What is it that you really crave? What kind of knowledge that you really want? Now, everybody wants to be able to get an education that's fulfilling and would like to be able to support themselves, make money enough to support themselves, their family, their loved ones. Some people even want to become very wealthy, and that's all good. But we need to make a distinction between three levels of how this education is going to help you. The knowledge is an end in itself, but we need to make a distinction between a job, a career, and a destiny. If you have a job, it's a 9 to 5, you go, you do your job, and very often people have that, say, well, there's my job, and then there's my life. A career, it's more integrated. This is more of a passion. But the greatest one is when you're pursuing a destiny. Well, this is your greatest calling. It's something you would do even if you weren't being paid for it. Like myself, as a psychologist and educator, I mean, this is a destiny for me. So I would do it being paid or not being paid. So you want to be able to move in those areas. The other thing is, also in the educational process, there's a tremendous emphasis in our educational system on memorization, which is vital and very important. I mean, particularly if you want to know about nutrition, you need to memorize them. You need to want about physics or biology and so forth. You need to memorize, no question about it. But there's a vast source of knowledge that's often not discussed, and that is inspiration. A person can be inspired through the power of inspiration, which involves learning to read the book of your own heart, learning to look within and find knowledge, and a stream of knowledge that never ends. Once you tap into that, there's no end. You become a universe of knowledge that just keeps pouring forth. I'm here to tell you about it, that such a phenomenon exists. You can learn to read the book of your own heart. Also, you want to be able to have knowledge that's going to integrate into your life. Unfortunately, in our current educational system, often a person within 2 years does not remember most of what he learned in terms of content. In fact, maybe not remember the name of the course. Maybe even 2 months later has forgotten a lot of it. Education needs to evolve to a point where people are learning and want knowledge that they want to keep for a lifetime, as we do here at the Nerenberg Institute. If somebody here said, well, I don't want to remember this all my life, I would say, well, then I don't want you to learn it. Knowledge for a lifetime, something that will integrate into your life. You see, this knowledge is so valuable. Not only do I want to keep it and remember it, this is a treasure not only for me, I want to pass it on to my children, my grandchildren. I want my wife, my mother, my father. I want everybody, I want to my loved ones. I want them to know this because this is going to help them in life. The knowledge should have that kind of a loading to it, which for the most part in our education system is not there at this time. But you have to understand that, the historical roots of that. At one time, our education was for the elite, for the aristocrat, who had time to sit around to know knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Only certain people could read, had the time to do this, the tutors, the wealth, to make the time for it. Other people were busy just trying to survive. So now it's a matter of you can begin to investigate on your own and But the value of the knowledge is not just the knowledge as an end. At one time, the knowledge was an end in itself. You were an aristocrat. In fact, it was considered coarse at one time, even in my youth, to talk about money. Well, you wanted this knowledge. Well, money, well, that's irrelevant. Believe me, there was a time in my lifetime, I'm 70, but in my youth, that was considered, well, that's kind of gross. That's kind of how ungenteel of you. A gentleman doesn't even concern himself about money.